Life has a way of making us hold our breath without even realizing it. We walk through relationships, careers, and expectations, carrying invisible weight, waiting for the moment when we can finally relax, finally feel safe, and finally breathe. Welcome back to Sight Screen Perspectives, where I break down the psychology behind your favorite films and TV shows. Today we're diving deep into the iconic 1990 film, Waiting to Exhale. Not just as a story about love and heartbreak, but as a psychological mirror reflecting how so many of us live, waiting for permission to feel whole. This film is a layered portrait of friendship, resilience, attachment wounds, and self-discovery. Through the lens of psychology, we'll explore the relationship dynamics of Savannah, Robin, Bernadine, and Gloria, unpacking anxious attachment, toxic attraction, betrayal trauma, and the quiet power of self-love. And by the end, we'll uncover the hidden meaning behind the film's title, because the truth is, many of us are still holding our breath in our own lives. Let's get into it. Savannah Jackson, played by the iconic and legendary Whitney Houston, appears successful, polished, and composed, but emotionally, she is unfulfilled. Her involvement with Kenneth, a married, emotionally unavailable man, isn't just a poor romantic choice, it's a psychological pattern. Through attachment theory, Savannah displays traits of anxious attachment. She longs for emotional security, but repeatedly attaches herself to partners who cannot fully show up. This creates a cycle of emotional highs followed by deep disappointment, confusing longing with love. Her dynamic with her mother adds another layer. Her mother's belief that a piece of a man is better than no man at all reflects an intergenerational inheritance of scarcity. The idea that being chosen, even partially, is better than standing alone. Savannah internalizes this message, equating compromise with survival. When Savannah finally walks away from Kenneth, it's more than a breakup. It's her first true exhale. It's the moment she chooses self-worth over emotional crumbs and breaks a cycle of settling. Savannah's growth throughout the film showcases her eventual recognition that self-love isn't found in chasing the love of someone who will never fully commit. Robin, portrayed by the actress Lela Rochon, exemplifies a tendency to be drawn to men who provide temporary passion but long-term instability. From a psychological perspective, Robin displays traits of a fearful, avoidant attachment style. She desires intimacy but often chooses partners who are emotionally immature and can't meet her needs, like Russell. Her relationship patterns are rooted in a deep-seated need to feel desired, even if it comes at the expense of her emotional well-being, keeping her trapped in toxic cycles. Yet, by the end of the film, her decision to keep her baby and prioritize herself signals a breakthrough. She begins to move towards a healthier relationship with herself, showing us that growth often starts when we finally decide that our worth doesn't need external validation. Bernadine, played by the iconic and legendary actress Angela Bassett, undergoes one of the most intense emotional journeys in the film. The betrayal by her husband John of 11 years, who leaves her and their 2 children together for another woman, triggers a deep psychological response, one that aligns with the 5 stages of grief that she spirals through: denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. The famous scene of her burning his clothes is more than a cinematic drama. It's a form of catharsis, cathartic expressions of rage, an emotion often suppressed in women socialized to keep it together despite immense pain. Her eventual connection with James, a gentle and emotionally mature man, marks a turning point in her healing journey. Psychologists refer to this as corrective emotional experiences, moments where a person encounters a healthy version of a previously painful experience, allowing them to rebuild trust in relationships. Bernadine's exhale comes not just from finding love again, but from rediscovering herself in the ashes of betrayal. Gloria, played by the iconic and legendary actress Loretta Devine, represents the struggle between codependency and self-empowerment. As a single mother, she prioritizes her son over herself, a dynamic that often leads to enmeshment, where a parent's emotional well-being is overly tied to their child. However, her relationship with Marvin introduced the idea of balanced love, where emotional security and mutual respect redefine her understanding of a companionship. For the first time, Gloria experiences a love rooted in respect and stability. This shift reflects self-determination theory, which emphasizes autonomy, competence, and relatedness as the foundation of human fulfillment. By practicing self-care and learning to value her own needs, Gloria models a truth many of us forget. Sometimes love only finds you once you fully embrace yourself. Life has a way of making us hold our breath without even realizing it. We walk around with invisible weights on our shoulders, pressures from relationships, careers, family, society, and even ourselves. And if you ever watched the movie Waiting to Exhale, then you know the title itself is more than just words. It's a metaphor for how so many of us live our lives, waiting for the moment when we can finally let go, breathe, and just be. Waiting to Exhale is not just a film, but the very act of holding our breath through life. And more importantly, how can we stop waiting for permission, for the right time, or for someone else to create the moment, when in truth, we can learn to exhale right now. When we think about the women in Waiting to Exhale, each of them was holding her breath in some way. Savannah was waiting for love to finally show up in the right package. Bernadine was waiting for recognition and respect in her marriage. Gloria was waiting for her son to grow up so she could reclaim her own life. And Robin was waiting for validation and attention in all the wrong places. Their stories mirror real life, because so many of us spend years waiting for something outside of ourselves before we feel worthy enough to take that deep breath of relief. And that's the danger. We live in a constant state of tension, as if happiness is always coming soon, but never here. The hidden message behind Waiting to Exhale is not just about love or relationships. It's about self-denial. It's about how we delay joy until conditions feel perfect. We tell ourselves, once I get the job, then I'll rest. Or, once I lose the weight, then I'll feel confident. Or, once I find the right partner, then I'll finally breathe. But the truth is, there is no once. Life doesn't hand us perfect conditions tied with a bow. If we spend our whole lives waiting, we miss the beauty of now. We suffocate in silence, never realizing the oxygen was always within us. Think about the phrase exhale. It's not just a breath, it's a release. It's letting go of what no longer serves you. It's unclenching your fists, dropping your shoulders and saying, I choose peace right now. The problem is, many of us don't feel we deserve peace unless we earned it through struggle. But self-care, rest, and emotional release are not rewards, they're necessities. You can't keep inhaling pressure, responsibility, and expectations without exhaling relief. Eventually, you'll choke on the very air you're holding in. So the first lesson is this: stop waiting for the permission slip. No one is going to hand you a moment and say, here, now you can exhale. That power lies within you. Waiting to exhale is often another way of saying we're waiting for life to finally be perfect. But perfection is an illusion. If you're holding your breath, waiting for everything to line up before you allow yourself to rest, you'll never breathe at all. Exhaling means embracing imperfection, leaning into uncertainty, and deciding that peace is a choice you can make even in chaos. Another lesson we learn from the film and from life itself is that sometimes our exhale comes from heartbreak. Think of Bernadine's story. She gave years of her life to her marriage, only to realize her husband saw her as replaceable. Her exhale came in the form of release, burning his clothes, letting her rage out, and finally realizing she had to find herself again. For many of us, the exhale comes when we realize we can't carry other people's expectations anymore. It comes when we drop the version of ourselves we've been performing for others and decide to live authentically. Sometimes that exhale is painful, but it's necessary. But here's where the shift happens. You don't have to wait until everything falls apart to finally exhale. You don't need heartbreak, breakdown, or disappointment to be your wake-up call. What if you practice exhaling daily? What if you gave yourself 5 minutes to sit in silence, to journal, to breathe deeply, to cry if you need to to laugh if you want to just exist without performing. That is the practice of not waiting to exhale. It's claiming your right to peace in the present moment. The title Waiting to Exhale also teaches us about the danger of living in constant anticipation. When you're waiting for something, you're not present. Your mind is always somewhere else, somewhere in the future where life will finally be easier, lighter, freer. But life doesn't happen in the future. Life happens here, in the inhale and exhale of every moment. The act of breathing itself teaches us balance. You can't just inhale endlessly. You can't just exhale endlessly. You need both. And in the same way, life is a rhythm, stress and rest, work and release, struggle and joy. If you only do one side of the cycle, you burn out. Here's a question to ask yourself. What are you holding your breath for? Is it the dream job, the perfect body, the approval of your parents, the commitment from your partner, the apology you never received? Whatever it is, ask yourself if that thing is truly worth postponing your peace. Because peace can't be held hostage by conditions you can't control. Your exhale should never be tied to someone else's actions. So how do we stop waiting to exhale? First, by recognizing that rest is not laziness, it's power. Rest restores your creativity, your clarity, and your resilience. Second, by releasing what doesn't belong to you. You don't have to carry every burden, every responsibility, every emotion that others throw your way. It's okay to put some things down. And third, by giving yourself micro moments of exhale every single day. That might look like a walk without your phone. It might look like setting boundaries with people who drain you. It might look like treating yourself with the same gentleness you offer to others. Ultimately, waiting to exhale is about more than 4 women navigating love. It's about every person who has ever delayed their own joy. It's about every individual who has been holding their breath, waiting for life to finally be good enough. But here's the truth. You are allowed to exhale right now. You are allowed to let go, to breathe, to rest, and to choose yourself. The hidden message is that the exhale is not a destination, it's a practice. And the more we practice it, the more natural it becomes to live fully present, fully alive, and fully at peace. So as you move forward, ask yourself, am I waiting to exhale or am I choosing to exhale? Because the difference between the two is the difference between living in anticipation and living in freedom. Stop waiting, breathe, release, and remind yourself you are worthy of peace right now. At the heart of waiting to exhale is not just romantic love, but the unwavering bond between 4 women. Their friendship is an example of secure attachment, where trust, support, and unconditional love create a safe space for vulnerability and healing. Psychologically, strong friendships serve as protective factors against depression and anxiety, reinforcing the importance of community and emotional resilience. So what can we take away from waiting to exhale? Each woman's journey is a reflection of different attachment styles, relational wounds, and paths to self-growth. Whether it's Savannah's need for validation, Robin's struggle with toxic attraction, Bernadine's journey through betrayal, or Gloria's embrace of self-love, these stories resonate because they reflect real psychological experiences. But together, they remind us of something greater. Life isn't about holding your breath until happiness arrives. It's about choosing to breathe, to release, and to live in the present. Thank you for watching this breakdown of waiting to exhale. If you enjoyed this analysis, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments below. And most importantly, don't wait for the perfect moment in your life to exhale.